Who knew this would happen when Sharon Stone finally spoke out? She's been keeping things from people for years, but now she dropped a bomb that makes people look twice. There is no filler or sugar covering, just the truth. Don't worry, this isn't another copied Hollywood autobiography. This matters to me. It's brave. This has shocked both fans and reviewers alike. The turn of events that makes you think, wait, what did she say? You'll want to know the whole story. Because after hearing what she said, you will never look at her the same way again. A little girl grew up in Mayville, Pennsylvania, a town so quiet you could hear your own thoughts. This was before there were red carpets and cameras. Sharon Stone wasn't the girl that everyone thought would become famous in Hollywood. She was the second child in a family of 4 from a working-class background. Dorothy, her mom, ran the numbers and took care of the house, while Joe, her dad, was a tool and die maker and shaped steel parts all day. Sharon, on the other hand, was never the same. She was already making phrases when other kids were still having trouble with their first words. She walked and talked like she had skipped childhood when most children were still waddling. Soon, someone at school noticed something wasn't quite right. Her mind worked in a different way. She lived in books. It was easier to talk to adults than to play games on the lawn. Her IQ was 154. But being smart isn't always a good thing, especially when you're young. She never really fit in with other kids her age. It wasn't cool to be her. As everyone else looked, she was the one they couldn't quite connect with. That kind of being alone hurts you. The kind that stays hidden deep inside and doesn't always show. Life at home wasn't always kind and helpful, even though she had a mind that could move mountains. There were days when things were hard, and she didn't talk about them until now. Sharon Stone didn't have red carpets or expensive clothes when she was a kid. She grew up in a small, crowded house where money was tight and every penny was used for something. It was hard to have extras when there were 4 kids living together. There was barely enough for everyone to get by. Her father worked in a factory for long, hard hours, and her mother did everything she could to keep things from falling apart. Sharon saw everything happen. She saw how her parents' bodies, eyes, and silence showed the stress they were under. She also made a promise somewhere along the way. I'll get through it by myself. But money wasn't the thing that hurt her the most. Something much darker was going on behind closed doors. She didn't fully understand it until she was older. Sharon was abused by her maternal grandfather when she was a little girl. Someone who should have kept her safe turned out to be her worst fear. Because the pain was so deep, her mind did what many do when they are in survival mode. It pushed it so far away that she couldn't remember it until years later, when she finally told the truth in her book, The Beauty of Living Twice. It felt like cutting open a wound that was too tightly bound up. She didn't just talk about being abused. She talked about the continuous death threats, the fear, and the silence. Sharon felt like she was miles away from her sister Kelly, even though they shared a room. She was scared, alone, and unable to get help. A pain that she couldn't see weighed her down for years. Then the funeral for her grandfather came. In a move that still shocks people, her grandma locked Sharon and Kelly in the room with his body. Just the 2 of them. Nothing was said or explained, there was only quiet. And the dead body of the man who stole so much from her. It was scary, but in a strange way, it was the end of something and the start of letting go of a past that had been controlling her from the corner. Still, things didn't get better all of a sudden. Joseph, her father, was shaped by hard times, and not always in the best way. He was in charge of the house and had fits of anger. That caused Sharon more pain and fear. His penalties were more than just schoolwork. Often, they were rougher. She didn't feel safe at school, at home, or even in her own skin. But one day, she changed in a big way. She didn't have the guts to speak out or fight for herself until she was 14. "What's wrong? Do you need to hit me again to feel like a man?" she asked her father. The words echoed through the air like thunder. He broke. He cried. She finally told him the truth that she had been keeping inside: she never loved him. Everything changed at that time. He didn't touch any of them again. Something had changed, even though the damage could not be fixed. Finally, a small crack of light showed through. Sharon could only get some air at school. The books made sense. Numbers, stories, and facts. They didn't swear, hit, or lie. She didn't quite fit in, though, even in school. The kids made fun of her because she was smart, used big words, and thought in new ways. They called her a know-it-all. Strange. She didn't want to be better. It was her goal to fit in. She was never meant to fit into those boxes, though. They were meant to fall short of her. Okay. How come some people look like they were meant to be stars? That wasn't Sharon. Not even close. She didn't think she was pretty at all when she was younger. She used to say that she was awkward and nerdy. There were a lot of girls chatting and choosing prom dresses, but Sharon stayed quiet and read a book. She longed to leave her small town and do something bigger. And she had already passed from high school when she was only 15. That's pretty cool that she got into college early with a grant, right? She felt even more out of place because she was the youngest person there. She still felt like the girl in the back of the class who no one saw, even though everyone else was bigger and more sure of herself. She told herself she was the nerdy, ugly duckling, and she really believed it. But surprises kept coming up in life. When she was 14, she hurt herself really badly while trying to break in a horse. It got really bad, and she hurt her neck really badly. It was awfully bad, like really awful. It not only hurt her, but it also made her feel even more alone. She didn't always know how to handle the weight of the world. She was very smart and very driven, but she was stuck. Big dreams, small town, and no clear way out. After that, something strange happened. Someone talked her into competing in a beauty show in her area. Yes, I know it sounds like 180, right? She did it, though. She won, which surprised everyone, even herself. Something changed about her after that win. She felt like people would want to look at her for the first time. There might have been something unique about her. The doors began to open before she knew it. A lot of modeling companies called. The next thing you know, she's getting ready to leave. And leaving for New York City with just a dream and desire. Now, New York wasn't exactly friendly. She was turned down a lot. But she didn't give up, she pushed harder. She worked with that camera a lot and learned how to use it perfectly. She was finally signed by the Ford modeling agency, and soon her picture was in ads, papers, and billboards. She did it. She thought that. The truth is that modeling was fun, but it wasn't enough. Sharon didn't just want to be seen. She wanted to show how she felt. Her goal wasn't just to strike a pose, but to tell stories. That's when she thought about becoming an actress. She started all over again with auditions, acting lessons, small roles, and finally her big movie role. She was just a minor character, but she took it all in. She knew it was the right thing to do. Then all of a sudden, in 1992, she got the part that changed everything. Catherine Trell in the movie Basic Instinct. That part was tough. It was brave. Sharon did a great job. People spoke about her all the time. She went from being that girl from Maville to a full-on Hollywood star in an instant. Sharon did it. She got there from this quiet little town where she felt like no one could see her. All the way to the crazy lights and flashing signs of Hollywood. Her face was on movie theater signs, magazine covers, and red carpets all over the place. She worked really hard, and now everyone could see what she had known in her heart the whole time. She was meant for a greater purpose. But just because your job is going well doesn't mean that everything else will just fall into place. Oh, Sharon's love life was its own adventure. In 1984, she got married for the first time. The two met on the set of a movie. He made TV shows, and things went quickly for him. It was one of those classic things where work turns into love. It worked for a while. But as her work took off, it got harder and harder to keep that balance. You already know how it works. Schedules that are getting farther apart. Nothing is pulling you in the same way. They broke up in 1987. Sharon had already learned one of the hardest lessons in life. Love and goal setting don't always get along. She didn't give up, though. She kept showing how she felt. She went out with country singer Dwight Yoakam in the early 1990s. It was short, but it made the news. People liked the rough-and-tumble country charm he had. When William J. McDonald came along, she became very serious with him. They were even taking it slow for a while. It looked good, like this could be it. But life gets in the way even when there is energy. In 1994, they broke up. That was the end of another story. After things seemed to calm down, she met Phil Bronstein in 1998. This one felt different. His home was not in Hollywood. He was calm and thoughtful, and he wasn't like the crazy people she was used to. When they got married, Sharon felt like she had finally found a good person. After 2 years, they adopted a boy named Ran, and things seemed to be going well. Peace, love, and family are what make me happy. But things weren't as good as they seemed on the inside. Between her busy job and the ups and downs of her marriage, cracks began to show. No longer was it just about fame. It was about putting together a real life. No matter who you are, that's never easy. Still, Sharon is easy to relate to because she tried. When things got bad, she didn't give up. She had faith in love even when it was hard. Who hasn't been there? We hoped that this time would be different. You give love your all, but sometimes it doesn't work out the way you thought it would. Sharon, on the other hand, never gave up. In love, in life, in everything. But slowly things started to fall apart, as they do in many relationships. Sharon and Phil did their best. But by 2004, they were no longer married. As if getting divorced wasn't hard enough, they then had a terrible fight over who would have care of their son Rowan. She didn't just read about it in the newspapers. It was her real life being shown to the world. It broke her heart. But there's something about Sharon. When it came to being a mom, she never gave up. She wasn't aware of how strong she was until she loved Ran. She didn't shut herself off from love after everything was over. Not even close. Sharon didn't close her heart because she still hoped for something real. David DeWeese, an actor, was her boyfriend for 2 years. Then, in 2018, she was seen with Angelo Baffa, a lovely Italian real estate mogul. The two of them had chemistry. It looked like she would finally get her happy ending for a while. But we all know that love isn't always easy. Things don't always work out, even when two people care. Both of those relationships ended. They do hurt, though. Sharon, though, kept going. She is so familiar because she has loved and lost a lot, but she has never turned cold after a breakup. She learned from those breakups. She grew stronger and learned to love herself more. She still believes in love after everything. Yes, she does. That's brave. But when things started to get better, she healed, took care of her kids, and kept her hope alive. She was hit by something she didn't expect in life. Sharon had a serious stroke in 2001. This was very bad. A 9-day brain bleed that seemed to come out of nowhere. The doctors gave her a 1% chance of living. Chance to stay alive. 1%. What could that be like? She'll get to the top of her field one day. There are times when she can walk, talk, and identify parts of herself, but the next moment she can't. She couldn't feel her leg. Her speech was slurred and she had trouble seeing. She had to learn how to talk, walk, and write her name all over again. It felt like beginning again. And just when she thought everyone would help her, they didn't. The movies moved on. The calls stopped coming in. The work stopped. Even worse, she had to fight again for control. This time after having a stroke and trying to get better. Even though it hurt, she kept going through it slowly and quietly. To get her life back, she fought like hell. She did it little by little. Strange. But her story isn't about being famous and walking the red carpet. Real, raw survival is what it's about. The kind that a lot of people go through but not many talk about. Sharon's story shows that you can get back up after being knocked down by life. Not the same, not easily, but stronger, smarter, and with a lot more kindness. It's this that makes her story not only inspiring but also very real. How did she do it? How did Sharon Stone turn her biggest problem into something that would change people all over the world? Let's go back a little. Sharon had that big-hearted, get-things-done drive a long time before she had her stroke. When her sister Kelly hurt her leg badly in 1991, she and her sister started Planet Hope together. This group helps poor families by giving them support, respect, and a chance to succeed. After that, she kept going. In the fight against HIV and AIDS, she became a very important voice. Not only going to events but also really donating money to study. Harvard gave her a charity award in 2005 to show how dedicated she was. In the same year, she went to Israel and stood next to Shimon Peres, who won the Nobel Peace Prize and was someone she looked up to. She didn't just talk about peace, she lived it. Now we're in 2015, and she was given the Pelogio Building Peace Award in Milan. Sharon didn't just say, "Thank you," she changed the subject. She held a sale right then and there, and the money she raised was enough to build 28 schools in Africa. There is no writing or planning, there is only heart. She hasn't stopped there either. Sharon has fought for the rights of LGBTQ+ people, offered to help with disaster relief, and spoken out about everything from animal welfare to education. It doesn't matter what life throws at her, she always talks out for others. Sharon's story inspires us because she not only lived through a terrible event, but she also made it her goal to live. You can still make something beautiful out of the pieces after your world falls apart, she tells us. People took notice of her journey of giving. Sharon was honored with the Peace Summit Award in 2013, which said a lot about her heart. It wasn't about how many tickets were sold or who showed up on the red carpet. It was about changing people's lives, giving people a say, and supporting causes. Sharon had become a force outside of Hollywood. She was a leader in raising awareness about HIV, AIDS and making the future better for children in underserved areas. She gave everything she had to heal the world, but one question remained in the background. Love. Had she ever shown up for her the way she did for everyone else? Sharon Stone says that she and Tom Cruise are dating. Sharon has never been one to hide behind a perfect look or lines she has practiced, not on screen and definitely not in real life. Even when she's dating in this swipe-driven world, she's surprisingly honest and real. Sharon tried online dating for the first time, just like a lot of other people. Well-known actress might seem like it would make things easier, but she quickly learned that it's just as messy for her as it is for us all. In an honest interview with The Times in 2024, she talked about how strange and annoying it can be. One story stood out. The man she matched her with didn't look anything like his pictures. Not a little different, not at all like it. Even though she laughed about it, it was clear what she meant. It's not easy to be in love. Sharon doesn't play games, though. She said, "I go on as myself. I can't just lie about it." That one sentence tells you everything you need to know about her. She has lived long enough to know how important it is to be honest and how painful it is to lie. Then there was the moment that only Sharon Stone could have had. The site kicked her off. Yes, really. In 2019, the app marked her page as fake because people didn't think it was really her. In reflection, it's funny and also kind of poetic. There was a woman whose whole life was about being true to herself. She was kicked off a dating app for being too real. Still, she hasn't let the weirdness of online dating bring her down. Sharon stays honest, grounded, and hopeful. She handles love with grace, grit, and her trademark honesty, just like she does everything else, from getting over a stroke to fighting for global causes. Because for Sharon, being real has always been important, whether she's playing, being an activist, or being in love. That could be her most amazing love story ever. This is where things went wrong. Sharon tries online dating for the first time today. What takes place? Bumble kicks her off. Yes, they did delete her account. Why? Because many people kept saying that her picture was fake. Really, who could blame them? A lot of people thought Sharon Stone was crazy to be on a dating app. But Sharon didn't get mad. Instead, she did what she always does. She spoke up. She wrote on Twitter, "I went on at Bumble and they closed my account. Some users said it couldn't be me. Hey, at Bumble, am I being rude?" It was smart, funny, and right on style. That tweet went viral, and Bumble quickly told her she was sorry and returned her identity. Even so, it showed how hard it can be for anyone, even a popular person, to do something as simple as look for love. She has never been into the whole hookup scene, to be honest. She herself said it. She's not interested in shallow things. She even said, "I didn't want to just go on Tinder and FO somebody." It's not hard. And let's be honest, a lot of people feel the same way these days. It can feel like you can't find anything real. Sharon tried dating for years until she finally said, "You know what? I'm good." She told Drew Barrymore on the show in 2020, "I'm done dating. I've had it with dating. I find people to be fake and not worth my time." That's not anger. A woman who knows her worth and sets limits. Sharon is now focusing on what's important to her instead of looking for love. Taking care of her kids, hanging out with friends, and doing things that make her happy. And to be honest, that's something that many of us can learn.